Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, discussants at Daily Trust Annual Dialogue observed that leading presidential contenders have no clear roadmap to actualize vision. House of Representatives threaten arrest of CBN governor over failure to appear before members. President Buhari on two-day official visit to Katsina State as residents protest economic policies. And on the foreign scene, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in Sudan on first visit since coup. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. The news in full. Discussants at the 20th Daily Trust Dialogue examined the quality of blueprints of presidential candidates seeking electoral mandates and observed there is no clear roadmap on how to actualize the agenda. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that there is a consensus amongst participants for a collective demand for elections to hold despite the reservations, just as the nation was tasked to use the polls and solidify its democratic leadership in Africa.
The 20th Daily Trust Dialogue is themed interrogating the 2023 presidential agenda. Setting the tone of discussion, Chairman, Board of Directors, Media Trust Limited, Malam Kabir Yusuf, expressed worry over discordant tunes as the nation goes to the poll next month, asking stakeholders to give Nigeria a chance.
Indeed, if all the citizens of this country ignore the poll applications, Nigeria could be the ultimate winner at the polls. It's obviously our collective interest to give this poor yet rich country another chance to rise from the ashes.
Reiterating the commitment of the United States to elections in Nigeria, U.S. Ambassador tasked the nation to solidify its democratic leadership in Africa. Just as she said, U.S. visa ban target those working to undermine the election.
Individuals who undercut or undermine the democratic process in any way, including through intimidation and violence, may be found ineligible for visas to travel to the United States. We have taken steps in the past to impose U.S. visa restrictions against those complicit in undermining the electoral process, and you may have seen that Secretary Blinken announced just yesterday that we have identified specific individuals for such past actions.
Truly free, fair, and credible elections, that is the only way from which will emerge at all levels of government, men and women, ready to serve the nation with dedication, sincerity, honesty, and integrity.
Interrogating the agenda of the frontline presidential candidates, the panelists raised questions on the structures and actions plan of the flag bearers to execute their promises in the face of existing factors undermining the actual growth and development of the nation.
It's nice for the political class to scare us as much as it has been done today, with the likelihood of everything going wrong within the period of an election. It's the responsibility of every government in power to ensure at this moment that the country is in a state in which we can actually have an election.
Simply because whenever anybody takes an oath of office, they place their hand on the Bible or Quran to swear to uphold the Constitution. They don't place their hand on the Constitution and start swearing to uphold the Bible or Quran.
We can buy competence, we can buy capacity, we cannot buy character. So as we plan to vote, please look at the antecedents of the candidates. Yes, none of them is perfect.
There is no secret in the conduct of public affairs in Nigeria. Most of us know what's happening. We know those who are stealing, we know how far the stealing goes. We may not know all.
Nigerians will go to the polls on the 25th of next month to elect a new president and members of the National Assembly. But the political atmosphere is consistently becoming uncertain due to comments by political actors and the frightening insecurity in some parts of the country, even as the electoral umpire and security agencies remain positive about the conduct of the elections. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still on Daily Trust Dialogue, participants say the dialogue has given opportunity to Nigerians to contribute to national discourse on challenges confronting them. Aisha Salihu speaks to some participants on their takeaway from the 20th dialogue. The report.
Most participants at the dialogue are positive that discussions at fora like this will contribute to national consensus on issues. They said the theme of the dialogue, interrogating the 2023 presidential agenda, is coming at the right time to guide and inform the electorate's opinions and decisions of choice of candidates during the forthcoming elections.
And it is important that a platform like this is provided for the people so that they can air their views and also listen to opinions from experts on what to expect and what to interrogate the leaders that are coming to take over political power.
The challenge now is for Nigerians to raise their voices. There must be an election on the 28th of February and on the 5th of May. There must be. Under any condition, Nigerians should not and will not accept any arrangement that is outside the constitution of this Federal Republic of Nigeria.
On speculations of alleged postponement of elections, INEC's National Commissioner for Information, Festus Okoye, says the commission is prepared to hold the elections as scheduled.
And as of today, over 70% of the non-sensitive materials required for the conduct of these elections have already been delivered to site. This election, we have fixed presidential and National Assembly elections for the 25th of February and governorship and state assembly elections for the 11th day of March. Those dates are fixed and firm, and we are going to go ahead with the conduct of the elections. So if there's any sector of the Nigerian society that is not yet ready, that sector should go and get ready, because this commission is going to proceed with the election.
This year's dialogue is the 20th since inception of Daily Trust Annual Dialogue in 2004. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The House of Representatives has threatened to issue a warrant to the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Ali Baba, to compel the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to appear before its ad hoc committee mandated to interface on the need to review its 31st January deadline to phase out the old 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, issued the threat during plenary on Thursday after a verbal report by the chairman of the ad hoc committee, Alhassan Doguwa, that the CBN management is yet to appear before the committee. The report.
That the House of Representatives recognizes the Central Bank of Nigeria's authority to determine the country's legal tender and to recall currency with reasonable notice, subject to the approval of the President. The House is also aware that Section 20, subsection 3 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act mandates the CBN to redeem the face value of the recalled currency upon demand, even after the expiration of the notice of recall.
Gbajabiamila further appealed to members that due to the non-appearance of the CBN governor at the ad hoc committee, the House will now adjourn till Tuesday next week.
The refusal by the CBN or managing directors to heed the invitation by the House of Representatives is evidence of a blatant disregard for the well-being of the Nigerian people who are their customers. It is also an insult to the authority and prerogatives of the People's Parliament. If by the end of today there is further disregard to the summons of this House, I will, without hesitation and pursuant to the authority conferred by Section 89(1)(d) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Order 1921 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives, not hesitate to issue a warrant to the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police to compel the attendance of the CBN and or managing directors who fail, refuse, or neglect to respond to the summons by the House of Representatives.
He stated that the House is also aware that Section 20, subsection 3 of the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Act mandates the CBN to redeem the face value of the recalled currency upon demand, even after the expiration of the notice of recall. Meanwhile, the ad hoc committee, having scheduled its meeting Thursday, interfaced with some available banks' representatives. At the meeting, most banks' chiefs explained that the new CBN policy is to encourage a cashless economy in the country. While noting that the new notes are insufficient, they further explained that the CBN directed them to only dispense new Naira notes via the automated teller machines ATMs and not at the counter. Earlier at the meeting, Chairman to the House Ad hoc Committee stressed that the House is not against the redesign of the Naira note or the introduction of the cashless policy, but the deadline to phase out the old notes.
Notwithstanding the provisions of 1 and 2 above, which is directly what you are making reference to. So notwithstanding that explanation you are making, this is the position of the law. And at whatever instance and for any reason, the expiry date for the old note comes up, then definitely the old note has to continue as a ban. And no time is even specified here, which means banks of commercial banks will continue. The central banks are under moral and statutory obligation to continue to accept old notes, only that they cannot be used as legal tender.
In attendance at the meeting were representatives of 11 commercial banks.
Residents of Osun State have called on the Central Bank of Nigeria to extend the deadline for phasing out the old versions of the redesigned Naira notes. The call for the extension is against the backdrop of the non-availability of the new notes, as banks and point-of-sale agents are still issuing the old notes to their customers. Hamid Oyegbade has more.
With the 31st of January deadline announced by the Central Bank of Nigeria for the phasing out of the old 1,000 Naira, 500 Naira and 200 Naira notes drawing nearer, most people are becoming apprehensive. Traders and artisans are rejecting the old notes ahead of the deadline as precautionary measure, whereas commercial banks and point-of-sale agents are still issuing the old notes. In Osun State, residents lamented that they were unable to withdraw new notes from the banks and appealed to CBN to extend the deadline for another couple of months.
First of all, I think that the problem started with the short notice that the CBN had given us for the expiration of the old Naira notes. Because when you want to remove something that is that huge from the system, you're supposed to provide a long time for people to be able to withdraw the old ones and take it to the banks.
I think the right thing to do is to extend the deadline in reference to the spending of the old notes, because the new notes, they are not in circulation at all.
It is not easy. This is how people are queuing to withdraw the new notes, because most people are rejecting the old ones because of the deadline. It is very difficult to get the new Naira notes. Aremu Olalere and Kayode Ajibola cautioned against rejection of the old notes before the January 31st deadline, saying such may cause needless crisis in the country.
The old note with people will not be wasted with them, because the economy already, they don't even have the money. The money they have is what they will use to consume. So like, for example, in the market now, some people have been rejecting this money.
Why should you reject the old one? That also can cause problem within the citizens. I think people should be collecting the old one while they wait for the government deadline for the new one to be released.
Meanwhile, the scarcity of the new Naira notes is already affecting businesses adversely, as many have been forced into temporary closure until the new notes become available for all. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
To help Nigerians in rural areas meet up with the deadline to return old Naira notes to commercial banks by January 31st, the Central Bank of Nigeria has deployed a team from Abuja to remote areas in the northeast. The CBN team was in the northern part of Gombe State for the currency swap program. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
The CBN team visited Duku Market, the local government area of Gombe State, northeast Nigeria, to make the newly redesigned Naira notes available to residents of the area. There was, prior to this visit, a scarcity of the newly redesigned Naira notes in the area. Not surprisingly, some Nigerians who swapped their old note with the newly redesigned notes are delighted with the development. I swapped 10,000 Naira notes. I would endeavor to swap the remaining old notes in my possession by tomorrow or so. I urge others to do the same before the deadline.
Wannan abubuwan alheri da aka kawo mana a garamar hukumar to Allah ya yi an kawo ga nan mutane suna ta canja.
People are now swapping the old notes. Before this time, there is scarcity. Businesses have stood still. But now, we have the redesigned notes. We thank God. The CBN team deployed to Gombe State, which operates under the leadership of Director Development Finance Yusuf Philip Gila, also paid a courtesy visit to the palace of the Emir of Duku, Harun Abdulkadir Rashid. The traditional ruler asked the Apex Bank to extend the 31st January deadline to help Nigerians seamlessly swap their old notes.
Whatever comes due is always difficult for people to invite, difficult for people to buy it. But people have started realizing their mistake, and that's why they are coming out en masse to see that they change their currency. So there's a need, if possible, for the bank to give another grace period so that people can actually, you can mop up whatever is left of the old currency.
Many see the deployment of special team of the CBN to rural areas as a laudable tactical maneuver. But with the Apex Bank's deadline just about a week away, there are those that believe that the move has been left too late in the day. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
In the same vein, business owners are shutting down businesses due to fear of losing money after January 31st deadline set by CBN to end the use of the old 1,000, 500 and 200 Naira notes. Hawa Ibrahim, a small restaurant operator in Kaduna Metropolis, says she cannot buy foodstuff as the traders at the market are no longer accepting the old notes. This, she said, has left her with no option than to shut down her business pending the availability of the redesigned Naira notes. The report.
This is Hawa Ibrahim's restaurant. On a regular day, it is usually filled with customers, but it is empty today, as she cannot continue to collect the old Naira note for the fear of losing her money.
We have stopped accepting the affected note because if we go to the bank, there is a long queue for depositing the money. Besides, the redesigned Naira note are not even available at the bank.
She buys foodstuffs at the market, but according to her, the traders set Wednesday 25th January as deadline for accepting the affected Naira notes.
The traders at the market where we buy foodstuffs said, henceforth they will stop accepting the old notes and we don't have the new Naira notes.
Hawa says she is shutting down her business pending the availability of the new Naira notes.
We are shutting down the business for 1 week or beyond, pending the availability of the redesigned notes.
The January 31st deadline to stop the use of old currency and the unavailability of the redesigned Naira note is creating panic in Kaduna as CBN maintains its stance of no going back on the deadline. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
President Muhammadu Buhari had commissioned critical infrastructure project executed in Katsina State. The president is on a 2-day official working visit to the state. Abdullahi Yamadi completes the report.
In chief of armed forces, Head of the Populace of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has formally commissioned this underpass.
President Buhari first commissioned the Kwara interchange road project, which the Governor Aminu Masari administration says it executed to ease transportation difficulties in the state capital. The president has also commissioned Katsina Water Booster Station, expanded and upgraded to reserve more water for drinking and other domestic purposes to the residents of the ancient city.
And they will cost Katsina state government about 10.1 billion naira. Already 2 of these 3 interchange projects have been completed and are ready for your blessing.
In the same vein, President Muhammadu Buhari has also, during the official working visit, commissioned an edifice housing Katsina State Board of Internal Revenue. This was done to give staff of the agency the comfort to face the challenges of revenue generation and collections. The state key actors say they are looking forward to bequeath a system that will guarantee a solid revenue base for the state in line with Katsina State Development Plan. Another sector which has the blessings of the president is the commissioning of some key structures at the Premier Katsina General Hospital.
General Hospital Katsina upgraded by Governor Aminu Masari's administration, commissioned by me today. Thank you very much.
However, the president's visit to his home state was greeted with protest by some angry residents against the president's economic policies that culminated into Naira redesign. The protesters blocked routes leading to the venue of project's commissioning. The protest is coming a month to presidential and National Assembly elections. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Crossed Television News, Katsina.
Benue State Government says it will release the 230 cattle arrested from Fulani herders for violating the anti-open grazing law. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Saleh confirmed this during a meeting with Fulani leaders over the killing of 40 herders at the Nasarawa-Benue border. Abdullahi Abubakar sent in the report as presented from our studio.
Following the killings of Fulani herders at the Nasarawa-Benue border, Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Saleh summoned a meeting with the Fulani leaders from Benue and Nasarawa states to find lasting solutions to the incessant attacks. Speaking before the meeting went into closed door, the national president of Mieti Allah Kautal Hore, Bello Bodejo, attributed the attacks to the anti-open grazing law enacted by Benue State Government. He called on Governor Abdullahi Saleh of Nasarawa State to liaise with the federal government to ensure that the killings are stopped, while arrested cattle and fines paid should be returned to the owners for the sake of peace. Addressing journalists shortly after the closed-door meeting, Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Saleh confirmed the killings of 44 Fulani herders during the attack said to be caused by an airstrike. Governor Saleh said his Benue State counterpart Samuel Otom has promised to release arrested cattle to their owners without payment of fines.
In addition to that, we were able to pacify them. I have spoken also to the governor of Benue State a few times, and the governor had given the go-ahead concerning all the remaining cattle. From what he told me, over 230. Those cattle that are arrested currently, and he had agreed that he was going to release those cattle without any payment.
Governor Saleh said an expanded stakeholders meeting would be convened in Abuja, while other measures will be taken to ensure that such attacks and other crises do not occur again. The Nasarawa State Commissioner of Police, Mayaki Mohammed Baba, said security personnel have been deployed to the affected area to prevent a reoccurrence. Recall that 40 herders had lost their lives in Doma, a community bordering Nasarawa and Benue states.
Moving to politics, the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council says there's no attempt to create conflict between Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and President Muhammadu Buhari will succeed. Director, Media and Publicity of the Campaign Council, Bayo Onanuga, said this in a statement on Thursday in Abuja. Onanuga was reacting to a media report alleging that Tinubu had blamed Buhari for the current fuel scarcity as well as the CBN Naira redesign at a rally in Abeokuta. He added that Tinubu is only attracting government's attention to the sabotage being carried out by some fifth columnists in the system working in cahoots with the PDP. Onanuga said Tinubu is aware of the salutary efforts by Buhari to end the fuel queues by chairing a 14-man panel, even though the fuel queues and agony had continued. The APC PCC Director of Media and Publicity said the fifth columnists often threw spanners in the works against good intentions and programs of the government. In continuation of his renewed hope campaign, the APC presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his vice Kashim Shettima on Thursday urged Benue voters to trust them with their votes in next month's presidential election. In turn, they're promising to make life better for them through improved security and a better economy. Jimmy Adzande has the report.
Supporters of the All Progressive Congress, APC, gathered at the popular Ape-Aku Stadium in Makurdi to welcome the man they believe will be the next president of the country and his deputy. In his address, Tinubu assures the Benue electors that he and his team will make Nigeria a better place for them and the rest of the country.
If you vote for APC, your headache is gone. If we bring hope back to the IDP, that is the end of misery.
Leader of the APC in the state, Senator George Akume, welcomes the campaign delegation and extols the leadership qualities of the presidential and vice presidential candidates of the APC, whom he said have the capacity to rescue Nigeria.
Vote APC, you will never regret. You will continue to laugh and laugh and laugh. Continue to celebrate. Continue to celebrate Shettima. I am back.
Governorship candidate of the party and leader of the Yes Father movement, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, also held the Tinubu Shettima ticket via a song he composed, while the DG of campaign APC all added their voices to the call for Nigerians to elect Tinubu and Shettima as president and vice.
Let us make it as at all outings I said earlier, and the pointers of our growth. We are in a deplorable state. They have promised to lift us up. So let us give our vote to the next few. Our candidate, what he was saying, if I interpret it well, that you are calling as a reincarnation of Awolowo. Spirit is coming back to make you the president of Nigeria in 2023. Through the help of our father, President Muhammadu Buhari.
The rally was attended by party supporters from the 23 local government areas of Benue State.
Still in politics, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has reiterated his commitment to the devolution of power and resource control if he wins the 2023 elections. He promises that the PDP administration he intends to lead will be driven largely by women and youths. Atiku stated this while addressing party supporters at Abakaliki, Ebonyi State during the PDP presidential campaign rally on Thursday. He expressed gratitude to the people of the state for always voting for the PDP since the inception of the current democratic dispensation in 1999. In their remarks, the national chairman of the PDP, Iyorchia Ayu, and the director general of the PDP campaign, Aminu Tambuwal, said whatever achievement Governor Umahi recorded was achieved as a PDP governor and expressed gratitude to the people for coming out in their numbers to support the party and its candidates. Goods worth millions of naira were destroyed when fire gutted the 3-story building housing clothes and shoes in the popular Balogun market on Lagos Island. It was gathered that the fire was put out at midnight on Thursday by emergency responders but restarted around 3 a.m. The Southwest coordinator of the National Emergency Management Agency explained that the building housed warehouses and firefighters had difficulties gaining access to the building because of the iron bars. He, however, said the fire had been contained before it could spread to other buildings. In a separate statement, the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency said the cause of the fire could not be immediately ascertained, while no casualty was recorded in the incident. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Zamfara police arrest suspected terrorist, 3 informants. Do stay with us.
Nigeria na we country, APC na the party, na one man be a choice.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as president of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. We told you that discussants at Daily Trust Annual Dialogue observed that leading presidential contenders have no clear roadmap to actualize vision. We also told you that House of Representatives threatened arrest of CBN governor over failure to appear before members. Still on electoral matters, men, especially Muslim husbands in Adamawa State, have been charged to allow their wives to collect their permanent voter cards to enable them participate in the forthcoming elections as part of their civic responsibility. The call is coming few days to the closing date of the collection of permanent voter cards across the country. Silas Lawang examines the reasons some husbands in Adamawa may not allow their wives collect their PVCs. The report.
A sizable number of women in Adamawa may not get their permanent voter cards to enable them partake in the general elections due to some factors associated with the card distribution, as Trust TV found out while monitoring the process in some collection centers in the state. Some men said their decision for not allowing their wives to go and collect their PVCs may not be unconnected with a continued frustration associated with the card collection process. However, some of them hold a contrary view on the matter.
Of course, I have allowed my wife, who are eligible to vote, to go and collect their PVCs. It is their civic responsibility to partake in the polls. So I see no reason for some other men not to allow their wives to exercise their franchise. I am urging on my fellow men to let their wives collect their PVCs before the closing date.
Hukumar zaɓe ne ya kamata su bambance ma'ana daga ma'aikatansu su ware mata waɗanda za su yi wa mata katin zaɓe daban.
I see the most important thing is for the electoral body to centralize the collection process, whereby men and women will have their different of collection of PVCs, because if you see some collection centers where women and men struggles in the queue, is frustrating.
While explaining that more still need to be done before the closing date, stakeholders have lauded the enthusiasm displayed by citizens in collecting their PVCs, which they described as an indication of their willingness to be active at the polls.
It is very important for them to go out and collect the PVC. We know there are many challenges, so I'm advising the men to allow their women or their wives and their children please to go and collect the PVC.
Some of the prospective voters who collect their cards speak.
I collected my voter's card for the forthcoming elections, and I'm willing to tell the youths that anyone that did not collect his card should try and do so, because the election is around the corner. And I did not face any challenges while collecting the card. I just collected it and kept it in a safe place.
And I'm calling on the youth, most especially around, that have not done so, to collect their voters card, because it is very important. Nigeria depends on you and your vote counts, especially students who have suffered a lot of things around school and strikes all over should go and collect their voters card.
INEC in Adamawa said a total of 505,937 permanent voter cards have so far been collected, with 253,774 yet to be collected. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
As the 2023 elections draw nearer, the Independent National Electoral Commission in Plateau State says more than 50% of permanent voter cards are yet to be collected. The head of voter education of the commission in the state, Egurube Otokpa, who disclosed this in Jos, said the development requires urgent attention to enable more people to participate in the elections. Ado Musa has more.
According to the INEC's head of voter education in Plateau State, Egurube Otokpa, hundreds of thousands of PVCs remain uncollected in the various offices of the Commission across the state. Otokpa said all stakeholders, especially religious and political parties, must rise to the occasion and educate people on the need to collect their PVCs ahead of the exercise.
As at 15 January 2023, PVC collection rate is 45%, with thousands of PVC yet to be collected. This is a huge challenge requiring urgent attention. The resident, the Honorable Rector Agundu, warned that if this trend continues and the lukewarm attitude is not checked, we may have a situation where a large percentage of people will not be participating in the elections.
While the Commission is lamenting the refusal of registered voters to collect their PVCs, some voters at the Jos North INEC office, however, faulted the collection process, saying it was very difficult to get the PVCs at the Commission's offices.
I lost my PVC card. Are you getting? Then I have been trying to get it. They said that my listener has been multiple registration, that I should register again so that they will capture my real data on my old PVC, which I did. You know, after doing it, coming now to collect, they say that it enters update instead of putting replacement on it. So that we should wait. Maybe they will print more.
It has been stressful because this is the fourth time of me coming here before I was able to get mine.
Recently, the Electoral Empire took the distribution of the PVCs to the ward levels for easy collection, but thousands of voters are yet to collect theirs. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Moving away from elections and now to security. Officers of the Nigerian Correctional Service are now armed with high-caliber rifles and other sophisticated technology to withstand and repel attacks from terrorists in the wake of several prison breaks in the last 2 years. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola, however, admits that many prisoners who escaped the security breaches of correctional centers are yet to be apprehended several months after. The minister spoke on Thursday to newsmen at State House Abuja about achievements of the Buhari administration, especially from the angle of maintaining internal security. Kehinde Amudu reports.
The figures are not definite, but what is confirmed is that Nigerian authorities are still on the trail of those that escaped during the attacks on prisons in the last 2 years. The Minister of Interior is of the firm belief that a series of prisoner attacks by terrorists were promoted by EndSARS protests that rocked the country. Security at the custodial centers have, however, been beefed up since then, and the minister is daring the terrorists to try again.
It will be difficult for anybody to attack our facilities. You may not know that some had attempted, and we have sent them back to their makers. So and just take it. It's no longer game as usual. We are fortifying. We are equipping our men to on their own defend those facilities. And the sister agencies that we have are equally upping their capacity to protect and defend our facilities. And we are improving the design of our facilities to make it almost impregnable.
Away from security breaches at custodial centers, the Nigerian Immigration Service issued over 1.7 million passports in 2022 as a result of the desperation of Nigerians to travel overseas in search of greener pastures.
By December 31st last year, we produced 1.7 million passports. In the annals of Nigeria, that has not happened. And those who say, booklet. As I'm talking to you, we have over 200,000 booklets in our store. So we have enough booklets. We are not denying the fact that there are challenges, there are human-induced challenges. But I want press people to know. It's not for the reasons that people claim glibly.
Those Nigerians who renounce their citizenship. So far, we have registered a total of 309. Between 2006 and 2021, 150 Nigerians renounced their citizenship. In 2022 alone, 159 Nigerians renounced their citizenship.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Interior has promised that full digitalization of the Nigerian passport processes will be completed before the end of the tenure of the Buhari administration. Full digitalization is expected to completely eliminate bottlenecks encountered while processing passports and end racketeering in Nigeria. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
Police in Zamfara State have arrested 8 suspects for various offenses. The offenses range from banditry, kidnapping, cattle rustling, fraud, criminal conspiracy, and culpable homicide. The report.
The police public relations officer of the Zamfara State Police Command, Muhammad Shehu, who briefed journalists on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, CP Kolo Yusuf, stated that police operatives apprehended 8 suspects, including a terrorist, bandit informant, and drug suppliers to the terrorists. He told journalists that on the 24th January 2023, police detectives acted on an intelligence report which led to the arrest of the 3 suspects who were residing in Bugundu local government area of Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria. According to him, activities of the suspects have aggravated the security challenges in 3 local governments of Bugundu, Kawaran Namuda, and Birnin Magaji.
The onslaught since its commencement had resulted in the unprecedented arrest of over 250 suspects for banditry-related cases, as well as recovery of arms and ammunition ranging from AK-47, AK-49, RPGs, rocket launchers, GPMG, LAR, and other caliber of sophisticated rifles.
The police image maker and the state also said the police operative arrested a suspect identified as 46-year-old Ali Abdullahi from Gubuchi in Kaduna State, who specializes in criminal conspiracy, kidnapping, and cattle rustling.
Police tactical operatives on confidence-building patrol along Sabia Munhaye Forest acted on intelligence and conducted a rigorous patrol with a view to arresting some gun runners who were on their way to Munhaye Forest to supply arms and ammunition to the bandits.
Items recovered from the suspects were 15 fabricated rifles, 146 rounds of live ammunition, dry leaves suspected to be Indian hemp, and the sum of 1 million naira.
Border communities in Katsina State have acknowledged the efforts of the Nigerian Customs Service in curtailing insecurity in some parts of the state. Representatives of the emirs of Katsina and Daura stated this while speaking at a Customs Community Forum held in Katsina. Abdullahi Yamadi completes the report.
The Customs Service was appreciated for securing the nation's land borders, especially at the heightened insecurity in Katsina State. This, the Royal Fathers say, has assisted significantly in reducing the menace of arms smuggling and other transborder crimes bedeviling residents of Katsina.
The Nigerian Customs Service is one of the most misunderstood services of the nation, in the sense that they are observed principally as suppressors of smuggling. But suppression of smuggling is only an ancillary duty in the customs, which is essentially revenue collection of the federal government of Nigeria.
The forum also commended the State Command of the Customs Service for ease of doing business, adding that it has facilitated the flourishing import and export of goods and services since the reopening of Jibia border. The special advisor to Governor Masari on security matters, Ibrahim Katsina, said the state government enjoyed working with all security agencies, especially the Customs Service, at the time of heightened insecurity.
The security agencies that are in Katsina are here to help us complement our efforts and stabilize the state. So I'm urging all the citizens of Katsina to cooperate with members of the security agencies, with our traditional institution, so that they can perform optimally and assist our state to excel.
The Customs Service, meanwhile, says its achievements were made possible with the support it enjoys from citizens of Katsina State.
I'm glad to inform you that since the reopening of the border, the command was able to generate a total sum of 935,306,275 naira 39 kobo only. Within the period under review, which is far more than 60,842,789 naira 87 kobo allocated as revenue target for the command in the year 2022.
The Katsina Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service conducted the stakeholders around some seized and detained vehicles and general goods. This is part of the command's anti-smuggling activities from the third week of December 2022 to date.
The command was able to record 379 arrests. Out of the total number of 379 arrests, 258 were converted to seizures after thorough investigations, with a duty paid value of 144,758,341 naira, 0 kobo.
The outgoing state controller of the service, Talhawada Chedi, however, called for more support and synergy from all stakeholders to enable the command record more successes. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Thank you, Abdullahi, for that report. Now let's join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and the Nigerian Interbank Settlement Systems, NIBSS, have unveiled Nigeria's first national payment card, Afrigo. The card, which will function like other international payment cards, is aimed at boosting financial inclusion in the country and reducing dependence on foreign cards. During the unveiling at a virtual event on Thursday, the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, said the card was designed to cater to local peculiarities that the existing card products have failed to address. According to him, with the Afrigo card, Nigeria has joined countries like China, Russia, Turkey, and India, which have had their local cards. He noted that the operation of the local cards will not prevent the use of the existing international cards, but will provide more options for Nigerians. Recall that earlier in October of 2022, the CBN announced that it will launch a national domestic card scheme on January 16, 2023. The United Kingdom government has announced that it has reduced tariffs on duty-free trade in goods exported from Nigeria. Deputy British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ben Llewellyn-Jones, disclosed this at the launch of the Developing Countries Trading Scheme, DCTS, in Lagos. He stated that the move, which will take effect from April 2023, will boost Nigeria's non-oil export trade as trade volume between UK and Nigeria hit £2.2 billion in 2022. Llewellyn-Jones revealed that the move to cut tariffs from Nigerian exports will reduce import costs to the sum of £750 million per year for the British consumer. The UK envoy added that it will also enable the growth of non-oil export-based jobs in Nigeria and create jobs in Nigeria. And finally in stocks, the Nigerian equity market on Thursday bounced back from two straight sessions of decline as the All-Share Index grew by 0.29% to settle at 52,752.96 points. Investors gained 83 billion naira as the market capitalization was up by 0.29% to close at 28.733 trillion naira. The market break closed positive as 25 equities appreciated in their share prices against 7 equities that declined in their share prices. An aggregate of 139.7 million units of shares was traded in 3,549 deals valued at 2 billion naira. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. The United States government on Wednesday declared that people involved in undermining the electoral process in Nigeria will be slapped with visa restrictions. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, in a tweet, said his country supports Nigeria's democratic process and desires to uphold the rule of law. The U.S. Embassy and Consulate in Nigeria, in a statement shared on its website, said the visa restrictions are specific to certain individuals and are not directed at the Nigerian people or the government of Nigeria. And with that, we move to the foreign scene. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed on Thursday visited neighboring Sudan for meetings with Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, his first visit to Khartoum since a 2021 military coup there. Relations between the neighbors in the Horn of Africa have been fraught with tensions in recent years, including over a border dispute and refugees from 2-year conflicts in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region. Sudan's ruling Sovereign Council said in a statement that Burhan and Abiy held talks on ways to strengthen and enhance bilateral relations. Tensions heightened between Khartoum and Addis Ababa following the conflict that broke out in November 2020 between Ethiopia's federal government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The fighting drove tens of thousands of people to seek refuge in Sudan. And with that, let's join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
Nigeria Super Falcons head coach Randy Wardrum has called up 23 players for next month's Revelation Cup tournament to be staged in Leon, Mexico City. Among those selected are Captain Onome Ebi, Barcelona forward Asisat Oshoala, and long-time #1 goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie. Hosts Mexico, Nigeria, Costa Rica, and Colombia are the participating teams at the tournament in the state of Guanajuato, with matches between 15 to 24 February. The tournament is to prepare the teams for the 9th FIFA Women's World Cup finals in Australia and New Zealand this summer. Nigeria's delegation to the tournament will depart the country shore on Saturday, 11th February. The Super Falcons will tackle co-host Australia, Olympic champions Canada and debutants Republic of Ireland at what will be the biggest FIFA Women's World Cup finals ever. And still on football, the UEFA Nations League will be expanded with a new knockout round after 2024. European Soccer Governing Body said on Wednesday following its executive committee's meeting in Nyon, Switzerland. The knockout round will be played in March to create continuity between the group phase ending in November and the finals in June. League A group winners and runners-up will participate in home and away format quarterfinals, with the winner qualifying for the final four. The top-ranked team in League A and the runners-up in League B, as well as the third-ranked League B side and the League C runners-up, will play a home and away promotion and relegation playoffs. In another change, European qualifiers for the European Championship and World Cup will be more consolidated, with teams being drawn in 12 groups of 4 and 5 teams. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.